Shalom. First, I'd like to start by saying all praise and glory be unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash, double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone who rule well and who have taught us knowledge. Honors and salutations to you, fellow laborers, doing the work week in and week out. Wishing your lives to, do this work, doing the will of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom to you and shalom to the Fuak that believe as well. This is the video I watched last night at the plantation. I was at work and I had time-stamped a lot of points. And I'm going to try to get through a couple of them, 2 or 3 at least, which fair use, by the way. This is for teaching and educational purposes only. This guy, Ronald Dalton, he's really been exposed, really, for being a false teacher and a false prophet that he is. A lot of his doctrine is totally off. Honestly, he just know he's an Israelite. And more importantly, I'm gonna keep saying this. Hey, there are 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All of the tribes ain't so-called black people. But you do have, you go to it. If you don't know, this is the nation of Israel. The so-called Negroes, West Indians, Haitians, Dominicans, Guatemalans, Panamanians, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, North American Indians, Seminole Indians, Argentinian, Chilean, Colombian, Uruguayans, Mexicans. We're all collectively known as the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, these are the bywords that we've been placed under. Our true names are Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, Issachar. All right, this is who we are known as in the Bible. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. And I want to go almost to the 6-minute mark because he's pushing this Hamitic narrative.
Little Africa, and all the
different.
And just because your parents want you to stay in America doesn't mean you got to stay in America. Because you only got one life, and we haven't explored the globe, let alone Africa, and all the different.
Why we need to explore Africa for? All right, why we need to explore Africa for as a people? That's stupid. Let me show you something. Ronnie, that's your name, Ronnie. Oh, Ronnie. This is from the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. It says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor, which is known as father or the first, right, of many to come after him, right? It says he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Mizraim, the Ethiopians, Cush, Libyans, Put, and the Canaanites. So if the scholars, biblical scholars that put together the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, which is headed by, small hats, of course, if they know that there's a difference between the so-called Negroes and the so-called Africans, and even that yourself, Ronald Dalton Jr., that the Israelites come from Shem, but why are you trying to lump Israelites into the Hamite or Hamitic, twist you put on your doctrine, man? Why are you putting that twist on it, man? Go back to Africa. Africa is not your homeland, my man. And you know that, man. I think you're being deceptive. This is Galatians 4. Let me go down to verse Galatians 4:26. It says, but Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So where's Jerusalem? Jerusalem is in the land of Israel. Now, when you go to a map, I took time and I've sought this thing out. The tectonic plates, right? I took time to do the tectonic plates, right? So let me find a good one so I can zoom in, okay, to show you. Okay, here we go. Oh, Shalakia, what's going on here? Okay, so let me get out of that. There we go. So I don't know what happened with my screen. So as you can see, you see the land of Africa, right? See the tectonic plate? The land of Israel will be on the other side of the black line where it says Arabian plate. So the land of Israel is not even on the same tectonic plate, or which will be a continent. All right. They're not on the same thing. Though you can travel there by land, of course, it touches the land, the surface. All right, the surface land touches, right? But yet still, it's not Africa, man. The Fertile Crescent stretches over into Africa, but still, you guys can't let go of that so-called African thing, man. Does it stretch like far as the Fertile Crescent? Does it stretch over into the land of so-called Africa? Yes, it does. I'm not denying that. There's a good one right here. Yeah, see? The Fertile Crescent, right? You see where Jericho at? Okay. You see the land of Israel? All right. Though it touches by land, it's still not it's not Africa, man. All right. So that's something that that's something that you haven't obviously done research on, man. You're just trying to put a African or Hermetic twist on this knowledge, man. Which I don't know who came up with this doctrine that you're trying to push, man. All right. So that's some bullshit. All right. Might going back to Africa. Now let's fast forward the timestamp to about the 18-minute mark. Okay.
World, triangle slave trade and the Arab slave trade on ships. And that's the people that are known as the Bantu people. And they are a specific group of people in sub-Saharan Africa that share a common genotype or genes. And that's a whole other discussion. But that's when I started to ask questions to my pastor, my dad, and others, saying like, hey, who are black people in the Bible? And for the longest, a lot of times in the black community, in the homes, you'll see statues of, African sculptures and statues, and then you'll see Egyptian stuff. So then sometimes growing up as a youngster, you're led to believe that you may be related to King Tut because people like King Tut. And, and I said, who are we in the Bible? What are we? And the pastors usually will say, oh, we're the Gentiles. And I said, well,
which that's true. They do say that. Okay. And one thing about the Gentile subject, that's a touchy subject because for most people they can't fathom Gentiles being Israelites also because they haven't done their research. When you've done your research, you understand and know that those Gentiles were nothing but which the word Gentile itself simply just means foreigner, man. It simply, man, just means foreigner. And through a process of multiple captivities, Israelites being born in these different lands, of course they became foreign to their heritage. Hey, Paul said that. Paul said that, excuse me. Okay, Paul said, you know, that the Israelites became aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. Alien is the same thing as foreign. So it says, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. Because why? You had Israelites being born in these other lands, and they, you know, were taking on heathen customs, you know, dressing like the heathen, doing all manner of things after the heathen, probably eating abominable things, doing abominable acts, you name it. So yeah, you know, that will make you uncircumcised, worshiping other, you know, gods, which are idols, whether made by wood or stone, or man's hands. So yeah, you know, you do have Israelites that was born outside of, you know, the land of Israel that wasn't circumcised to know the laws, commandments, statutes, and judgments. But you had the some that were, and there's plenty of examples. All right, like Timothy or Timotheus. You know, his mother was a Jewish, his father was a Greek. Meaning what? You know, his mother probably kept the customs, and his father was just Hellenized. And during that time period, when you know the history of you know the Greeks going into the Romans, right? The Greco-Roman time period, Hellenization was a big thing. All right, Hellenization was a big thing, and even in the Second Maccabees, the 6th chapter, tell you that they couldn't even claim to be no Israelite or a Jew, so they made it illegal. Okay, and if it's made to be illegal by your oppressors or the people that are enslaving you, and then it's passed down for generations, well, obviously you can become foreign to your heritage and who you are. Verse 12, it says that at that time you were without Yahushai. All right, his name ain't Christ. His name ain't Yeshua. His name is Yahushai. He's the anointed. That at that time you were without Yahushai, being aliens, see, foreign, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without the Most High in the world. See? So those Gentiles were Israelites. Okay? True indeed, they were Israelites. And that's a stumbling block for a lot of wacky tacky Christians and you theologians that you know the Lord's not dealing with. Whether you're Israelites or not, if you're Israelites, you can't get it because how about Shem Shai have opened your spiritual eyes to see it, man, to understand this knowledge. Okay? Remember, Yahweh Shai himself spoke in parables. Let me get that real quick. This is Matthew 13 and 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? Now, this is what the disciples actually, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah. It says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So, hey, a lot of Israelites ain't going to get it. That's why you have a 2/3 scripture. Zechariah 13 and 8 in verse 9. It goes into that. You always hear about the remnant in the Tanakh. You hear about the elect in the New Testament. That's the remnant, okay? That's the ones that was meant to get this knowledge. Even Paul knew that. So he said in Romans 11, he said, "What then Israel had not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the rest have obtained it." Oh, I'm sorry. What then Israel had not have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. That's how it goes. All right. And what did Paul say? The Most High gave him the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear. All right, roughly paraphrasing. That's Romans 11:7. Okay. So let's go to another timestamp I got, because he said a lot of these interviews of him be pointless, and they don't bring out scriptures. The scriptures say, "Make full proof of thy ministry." So you got to.
Do you own your home in Michigan but still rent your electricity? If you pay more than $70 a month in
Shalakia. The scriptures say, "Make full proof of thy ministry," and if you're teaching, you got to be able to back up what you're teaching with facts. Know how to go in the scriptures and prove it. The scriptures say, "Prove all things." So he have yet to be found to be sent by the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, because he haven't learned from the One West camp, which the truth did come out of One West. I believe that, even though I wasn't there at One West, of course not. But I believe through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai that the truth came out of One West. That's how the vast majority of us brothers even know about this knowledge. Okay, now let's play this timestamp. Israelites in the UK that are, also into this newfound identity that we're coming into, and having no problem sharing the world about who we newfound identity. So what? The most, what you think you Elijah now? We know who Elijah was on this side. We know that there was a man by the name of Abba Bivens, which I myself didn't know him personally again, but I believe through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, through the great report I heard about this man, I believe he was Elijah in the reincarnation. Because you, Ronald Dalton, didn't start to wake up the tribes. All right, the Lord didn't use you to do it. This thing been out way before I was born. And you're about 10 years older than me, so it's been out way before you were born too. This truth been out for a long while, before my parents was even born. Because I've been Bibbers on the scene going way back, man.
I have two questions, two lines of thought, or two questions rather. With the Bible that the Hebrew Israelites use, or that you use, and this is something that I've heard also, do you use the King James Version? Mm-hmm. Why King James? Why King James? King James. Well, I mean, there's really, we got to understand that in the old days, the history was orally transmitted. So the people that lived the history, they remember the stories, and they orally pass it down to their children. The elders talked to the kids. The kids remembered the stories. When they got older, they told it to their kids.
He beating around the bush.
In the old days, they used to chisel on rock, chisel on limestone, just like the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. And then sometimes they would write papyrus or animal skins, like parchment. Mm-hmm. But of course, you're not going to have a Bible chiseled in stone for all the Old Testament books and New Testament books. Of course, you're not going to have a book of animal skins with the Old Testament chapter Genesis all the way to First Chronicles, Second Chronicles. You're not going to have that with a bunch of animal skins, or even papyrus papers. So tall order there. The Greeks were the ones that came and mastered. I don't say they mastered, but they were the ones that were the translators and authorizers of the Old Testament into Koine Greek. So the first Old Testament that you really would have in your hands at that time, around the time of Alexander the Great, would have been.
So that's a lie, man. That's a straight up lie. First and foremost, Hebrew is the first language that was spoken. Hebrew coming before Greek. When Alexander was on the scene, first and foremost, us Israelites were speaking Hebrew. Okay, and the Middle East region was known to speak what? Hebrew. How else could you communicate? Even though Jake have been, known to be bilingual, which is knowing multiple languages, but the Lashon Kodash, the Hebrew, was a recognized language before, Alexander even, came into power. Okay, King James was an Israelite, and he don't want to, even get into that. But the host even mentions it, right? I don't know this guy's name, but he even mentions it. I think it's the guy with his name is Jay.
In Koine Greek, or probably maybe written on paper, but eventually it was the Greek.
Matter of fact, let me get it. Because when Yahweh died, let me show you something. When Yahweh died, they had his name in Hebrew, Greek, and in Latin. Excuse me. Here we go. This is John 19 and 20. Well, let's start up a bit. St. John 19 and 17. And he, which is Yahweh, and he bearing his cross went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him and two other with him on either side, one, and Yahweh in the midst. And Pilate wrote a title and put it on the cross. And the writing was, Yahweh of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. This title then read many of the Jews, for the place where Yahweh was crucified was nigh to the city. And it was written in Hebrew and Greek and Latin, because these were the three languages on the scene. See? So, come on, man. When the Greeks came into, matter of fact, when Alexander came into Jerusalem, what do you think things were written in? Hebrew. What do you think the people were speaking? Hebrew. What do you think the records were written in? Written in Hebrew. And then the Greeks transitioned to the Romans, and the Romans was the ones that destroyed a lot of the records, man. But they were the same people. They were both of the house of Esau, Edom. Right, the Greek way of saying Edom, or the Hebrew way first is Adawam. All right, Adawam, and the Greek way of saying it is Idumea or Idumean or Idumeans. Okay. So that's something that he's beating around the bush with.
Eventually, it was the Greeks and the Catholic Church, the Romans, Latin, Old English would be the people that would canonize, and they would translate, and they would authorize what we would get today known as the Bible, or the King James Bible, or the English Standard Version.
Yeah, through there, and that's when Roman Emperor Constantine, when he would, I guess, at the Council of Nicaea.
See, Constantine the Great was an Israelite. He don't even know that. He don't even mention that. But Constantine the Great was an Israelite. See?
Yep, in the Council of Trent, they just say, put these books in, and who knows what they edited some stuff in, edited some stuff out.
So is that a possibility that they edited some things in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because these are questions that I know that people will ask, they'll say, okay, if I'm going to do something, that'll be something that they'll come back and they'll say, well, are we still following the Europeans? Are we with the Greeks, with the Romans, with the Catholic Church, all over the Catholic Church? You know, because the fact that they were even the authorizers of the European slave trade.
Yeah, so the Ethiopians got Christianity around 300 AD, and
which he still haven't answered the question. The question was, what version of the Bible you go by, King James Version. He didn't go in about King James, because if you know the history of King James, you know King James, or when you research King James, you would know that he was an Israelite. Bear me 1 second. Let me type it in. Now you see the so-called white images, right, which is Renaissance art, right? And then you see the real. All right, let me see. Can I get a better one? This would be a good one right here. See, this is Renaissance. All right, what Esau changed it to look like a so-called white man, but this is the real image of King James. All right, which if he knew, he would have brought this up. Okay, which he comes from, that royalty of of the Dark Ages, going into the Renaissance period where he was still on the scene. All right, this is late 1500s, even going, because the 1611 was made. It was published in 1611. So King James on the scene. Matter of fact, let me see. Let's go to it. King James. Okay, so this is King James. Okay, it says, let me see. Yeah, how long did he live? So he was born in 15. Yeah, I was right. So he was born 1566. And let's see, so he lived up until the 1600s, man. This man, King James. He was like one of the last he's like one of the last big known name kings of Israel. Let's go back. He died in 1625. So he was 58 years old. All right, born in Scotland. All right, the word Scotland, go back to the Hebrew word shakar, shakaria, and it means black or dark. So Scotland, go back to that. It means dark land. So Scottish means black man. Okay, when you know the history of that. All right, England, Anglo-Saxons, angelic sons of Isaac, which were who? Who are the angelic sons of Isaac? It would be Jacob and his descendants, the Israelites. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it right there for right now. Lord willing, this part of the video have been edifying. As you can see, he don't know a lot of things, and he don't go into history, which we have to know history. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it right there, and Lord willing, to the next video, I'm gonna get into the other parts or timestamps I wrote down. Till next time, shalom.
And